Well, here we are. I really wish I could say something more interesting, but I just don't have it. So, being a mercenary isn't cool. Let's go ahead and jump into that for a minute. I think there was a time when it may have been cool. It's like maybe like French Foreign Legion, all this. Like I say, man, it's kind of budding waters really because you're fighting for France regardless. But I think there was a time when, especially there was a time when a lot of folks would talk about that German guy in Africa, who set up, being a mercenary and shit like that. But I think generally speaking, especially if you go to Ukraine, I think that a lot of folks are really getting fucked up. You know, plenty of Brits have been now caught, or British nationals who have been caught being mercenaries for the Ukrainians. And of course, like I say, I mean, if you've watched, any, Telegram channels, I don't go on Telegram really that much, but if you've seen, like that, I mean, you've seen the RNU videos and shit like that, where you'll see these guys, of course, talk about, well, I didn't know what I was doing and all that. I didn't have a bloody clue and all that. It was just there, you know. That's my northern impression right there. Yeah. Anyway, but they'd be like, oh, well, I had no idea I was fighting for them, And you would hear this dumb shit. And of course, there was a push for folks to go to Ukraine and, fight the Russian invasion. Most of them were like, oh, shit. And a lot of them left because they realized this really isn't their war. But there are 3 Brits that are now sentenced to death in the Donetsk People's Republic. It's no joke. It's no joke. They do have some autonomy in the way that they can appeal that sentence, I believe, after a month, something like that. But I think that this is going to be one of those delicate things that a lot of folks don't talk about. And it's just not pretty, And I would say the same thing about if something ever did happen in the U.S. I'm not going to say it will anytime soon. It's going to continue to kind of crack apart. But I would say be careful about getting involved. Now, of course, people are going to say, I'm sure, like, oh, well, you always just say don't get involved with these groups. I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to say this. If you want to join these groups, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not your dad. I'm not your mom. What I will say, though, is to use some sense and realize that whether you're getting if you're a regular job or whether you're a mercenary or whatever, just some street cleaner, or if you're carrying a gun, with Blackwater, whatever, realize that you are expendable. That's all I'm telling you, is that you're expendable, and don't come into it with eyes closed or rose-colored glasses, thinking that you're going to be a hero. That's what I'm saying. Now, I only say that just because I want to make sure no one's giving me that pushback, but just in case, I want to at least give that CYA, I really don't think it's cool to be, to think that, you go to Ukraine or something like that, and you think, you're going to fight for, I don't know, the future of white children or something like that. And there are people that have done that. There have been American Wignats who have done that. And now there are folks that have been caught. So it's like, and of course we see this further divide. Generally speaking, we see a lot, we're trying to see a growth of the left, like the Paul Morans, aka, Marxist Paul, and, that Prola cult. I watched their cringy video today about that. And it's like, we'll, and they try to speak to it through an economic, thing. And they get, like I say, it's hard to believe these Anglos are just like, oh, they're not going to stop us. And they get all, a lot of it is tough talk. I don't have much patience for it anymore. The older I get, the more I realize it's like all that tough talk, all that saying that, we're not going to be denied no war but the class war. I don't have the patience for that. because you realize it's like any day, comrades, any day. And it's just like, you realize that most of these folks just don't talk to other people. And it's like, hell, I don't like to talk to people unless I have to, or if I feel like it's the more polite thing to do. I work at a hotel. And anyway, at this point, I'm just rambling. So I'll try to wrap it up here. But it's just like being a mercenary isn't cool. There was a time when it could have been. But I think nowadays, of course, with all the scrutiny, with all the, especially with the future becoming more probably inclined towards a private army or, a mercenary style army, there's going to be a lot of folks who want to do that. Because I think a regular military just can't really cut it. Anyway, I think that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Just trying to give another perspective. Like I say, I'm on my let's be careful about what we get involved with sort of art. Let's be careful about how we talk to folks and how we deal with the society we're in, wherever we are. We have to be able to engage it with sense and not just LARP. Because the reality is that, people will yap, and they'll talk some tough talk, but when it comes down to it, they'll just do what they're told, and I'm just gonna leave it there. If you really want to believe in revolutionary defeatism and whatnot, go ahead. But I just think it's a little. I think it's very easy to say, another thing to do. Anyway, that's all I got. See you later. Goodbye.